My brother took my wife and my parents helped him. So I cut them off. I used to think betrayal came from enemies. I thought the people who hurt you the worst would be strangers, rivals, or people who had always hated you from a distance. I was wrong. The people who destroyed me were the same people who smiled in my wedding photos. The same people who ate at my table. The same people I had spent my entire life trying to protect, support, and make proud. My brother took my wife. And my parents helped him do it. That sentence still sounds insane, even after everything that happened. But it is the truth. My name is Daniel Mercer. I was 36 years old when my life fell apart. I lived in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, worked as a project manager for a construction firm, and had been married to my wife, Emily, for 7 years. Emily was the kind of woman people noticed the moment she walked into a room. She was charming, polished, and always knew exactly what to say. She had this soft laugh that made people feel like they were special. When I met her, I thought I had won the lottery. Back then, I did not understand the difference between being loved and being chosen because you were useful. Emily and I met at a charity fundraiser my company sponsored. I was not supposed to be there that night. My boss had gotten sick, and I had to attend in his place. I remember standing near the drinks table, uncomfortable in a suit I only wore twice a year, when Emily came up beside me and said, "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." I laughed because it was true. We talked for nearly 2 hours. She told me she worked in marketing. I told her about construction projects, budgets, deadlines, and how much I hated networking events. She laughed at my dry jokes. She asked questions about my work like she actually cared. 2 months later, we were dating. A year and a half later, we were engaged. And 8 months after that, we got married in the backyard of my parents' house. My younger brother, Tyler, was my best man. Tyler was 3 years younger than me. Growing up, he was always the golden child. Not because he achieved more, but because he needed more attention. He was reckless, emotional, and always somehow the victim of his own bad decisions. If Tyler crashed his car, my parents blamed the road. If Tyler got fired, they blamed his boss. If Tyler borrowed money and never paid it back, they said he was going through a hard time. But if I ever made one mistake, I heard about it for months. I was the responsible one. The dependable one. The one who was expected to understand, forgive, help, and stay quiet. That role followed me into adulthood. When Tyler dropped out of community college, I helped him get a job with a contractor I knew. When he quit after 3 weeks, my parents said, "At least you tried to help." When he needed money for rent, I gave it to him. When he needed a place to stay after a breakup, Emily and I let him sleep in our guest room for 6 weeks. Looking back, that was probably the beginning of the end. At first, I thought it was good for him. Tyler seemed calmer around Emily. She had a way of making him feel heard. They would talk in the kitchen late at night after I went to bed. I thought nothing of it. He was my brother. She was my wife. The idea that either of them could betray me felt impossible. There were little signs, of course. There always are. Emily started dressing differently when Tyler was around. She wore perfume more often, even on quiet nights at home. Tyler started making jokes about how I was too serious, and how Emily needed someone fun in her life. I laughed it off. Then Emily started criticizing me in small ways. "You're always tired. You don't know how to enjoy life. Tyler is spontaneous. You used to be like that." I reminded her that Tyler was unemployed half the time and living in our guest room for free. She said I was being judgmental. Eventually, Tyler moved out. I was relieved. I thought Emily and I could finally get back to normal. But normal never came back. She became distant, protective of her phone. She started taking long drives. To clear her head, she joined a gym across town even though there was one 5 minutes from our house. She said she needed space. I tried harder. I planned date nights. I cooked dinner. I suggested a weekend trip to Hocking Hills, where we had gone for our anniversary years before. She said she was too stressed. One night, I came home early from a job site because a storm shut everything down. Emily's car was in the driveway, but when I walked inside, the house was silent. Then I heard her laughing in the backyard. I stepped toward the sliding glass door and saw her standing near the fence with Tyler. He was not supposed to be there. They were standing too close, not kissing, not touching, just close enough that my stomach tightened before my brain could explain why. Tyler saw me first. His expression changed for half a second, then he smiled. "Hey, man," he said, walking inside like nothing was wrong. "I just stopped by to grab that drill you said I could borrow." I had never said he could borrow a drill. Emily smiled too quickly. I wanted to ask questions, but something inside me froze. I did what I had been trained to do my whole life. I swallowed my discomfort to keep the peace. That night, Emily slept with her back to me. 2 weeks later, my mother invited us all to Sunday dinner. My parents still lived in the same house where Tyler and I grew up. My father, Richard, was a retired insurance adjuster who believed every family problem could be solved by ignoring it until it became someone else's burden. My mother, Carol, Was warm in public and controlling in private. Dinner was strange from the beginning. Emily sat beside Tyler instead of beside me. My mother noticed and said nothing. My father poured Tyler an extra glass of wine and asked him about work, even though Tyler had recently lost another job. I remember making a joke about Tyler's career vacation, and the table went silent. Emily shot me a look. My mother said, "Daniel, don't embarrass your brother." I laughed awkwardly. "It was a joke. Some jokes hurt," Emily said. That was the first time I felt like they were all on one side of a room, and I was standing alone on the other. After dinner, I went into the kitchen to help my mother with dishes. Through the window, I saw Emily and Tyler sitting together on the porch steps. Their shoulders touched. I turned to my mother. "Do you think something is going on between them?" She did not even look surprised. She just kept rinsing a plate. "Don't start," she said. My chest tightened. "What does that mean?" "It means Emily is unhappy, and Tyler understands her." I stared at her. "He understands my wife?" "She feels neglected, Daniel." I almost laughed because the sentence was so absurd. "I work 60 hours a week to pay our mortgage, her car payment, her credit cards, and half the money Tyler has borrowed from this family. How exactly am I neglecting her?" My mother lowered her voice. "Money is not love." "No," I said, "but loyalty is." She slammed the plate into the sink. "You have always been so rigid, so cold. Tyler has a softer heart." That was when I knew. Not the full truth. Not yet. But I knew my mother was defending something she should have been horrified by. On the drive home, Emily was silent. I asked her directly, "Are you having an affair with Tyler?" She turned her head slowly and looked at me like I had insulted her. "You're disgusting. Answer the question." "I can't believe you would accuse me of that." "Then answer." She folded her arms and looked out the window. That was answer enough. The next morning, I checked our phone records. I am not proud of it, but I needed the truth. Hundreds of calls. Hundreds of messages. All to Tyler. Some at midnight. Some while I was at work. Some when she told me she was visiting her sister. I printed the records and placed them on the kitchen table when Emily came home. She looked at the papers. Then she looked at me. And something in her face changed. The mask slipped. She did not cry. She did not panic. She did not deny it anymore. She sighed. "Fine," she said. "Yes." That one word ended my marriage. I sat down because my legs felt weak. "How long?" She looked irritated, as if my pain was inconvenient. "About 8 months. 8 months. For 8 months, my wife had been sleeping with my brother. For 8 months, my parents had apparently known enough to defend it. For 8 months, I had been living inside a lie that everyone else could see but me." I asked her why. She said, "Because Tyler makes me feel alive." There are sentences that do not just hurt you. They rewrite your entire past. Every anniversary. Every kiss. Every "I love you." Every time she touched my face and told me I was her home. All of it became contaminated. I asked, "And my parents know?" She looked away. That was another answer. I called Tyler. He answered casually. "Hey, what's up? You slept with my wife." Silence. Then he exhaled. "Daniel, just calm down." I laughed, but it came out wrong. "Calm down? It just happened." "For 8 months?" He said nothing. "You were my brother." "I am your brother," he said. "No," I said. "You stopped being my brother the first time you touched my wife." He got defensive then. "You don't own her." That line almost broke something in me. I did not own Emily. I had never thought I did. But I had trusted her. I had trusted him. There is a difference between possession and betrayal, but guilty people love to pretend there is not. I hung up. Within an hour, my mother called. Not to ask if I was okay. Not to apologize. Not to say she was ashamed of Tyler. She called to manage me. "Daniel," she said, "you need to think carefully before you destroy this family." I remember standing in my kitchen, staring at the wedding photo on the wall. Me and Emily smiling. Tyler behind us with his hand on my shoulder. "I didn't destroy this family," I said. "You know what I mean." "No? Mom. Say what you mean." She hesitated. "Tyler and Emily are in love." I closed my eyes. My own mother said those words to me. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "This is wrong." Not, "We failed you." Tyler and Emily are in love. I asked, "How long have you known?" She said, "Long enough to know this is serious." I felt my face go numb. "And you helped them?" "We didn't help them. We just didn't judge them. You invited us to dinners while you knew he was sleeping with my wife. She was going to leave you anyway." That was the moment something inside me shut off. For years, I had fought for their approval. I had helped Tyler, forgiven Tyler, covered for Tyler, supported my parents, fixed problems I did not create. And in the biggest betrayal of my life, they still chose him. I said, "I want you to listen carefully. After today, you do not call me. You do not come to my house. You do not ask me for anything. You chose Tyler. Keep him." My mother started crying then, but not because she felt sorry for me. She cried because I was no longer obeying the role she had assigned me. "Daniel, don't be cruel. I said, cruel as helping one son steal the other son's wife and expecting him to smile through dinner. Then I hung up. Emily moved out that night. Not into an apartment. Not to a friend's place. She moved into Tyler's rental house. My parents helped her pack. I watched from the upstairs window as my father carried boxes to Tyler's truck. My mother hugged Emily in the driveway like Emily was the wounded one. Tyler did not look at the house. Cowardice has a posture. His shoulders had it. I filed for divorce 3 days later. Emily wanted half of everything. Of course she did. She claimed I had been emotionally unavailable, controlling, and obsessed with work. Tyler wrote a statement saying he had provided emotional support during a failing marriage. My mother wrote one too. She said Emily had been isolated and deeply unhappy. My father signed it. Reading those statements hurt almost more than the affair. They were not just defending what happened. They were rewriting me as the villain so they could sleep at night. But there was one thing they underestimated. I had documentation. Not because I had planned revenge. Because I had spent my whole life being responsible. Bank statements showing I paid Tyler's rent twice. Messages where Emily thanked me for supporting her marketing course. Phone records. Photos from our doorbell camera showing Tyler visiting while I was at work. A message from Emily to her friend that said, Daniel is a good husband, but Tyler gets me in a way he never could. That one destroyed her claim that I had abused or isolated her. The divorce was ugly, but not as ugly as it could have been. We sold the house. I kept my retirement accounts. She got a settlement that was fair on paper but much less than what she expected. She was furious. Tyler posted a picture on social media 2 weeks after the divorce finalized. It was him and Emily at a lake, smiling. Caption: Sometimes love finds you where you least expect it. My mother commented with 3 heart emojis. I blocked them all. Not muted, not unfollowed, blocked. Then I changed my number. I moved into a small apartment 20 minutes from my old house. It had cheap carpet, thin walls, and a kitchen barely big enough for one person. I slept on a mattress on the floor for 2 months because I did not want to bring anything from the old house with me. I was 36 years old, divorced, betrayed, and completely alone. But for the first time in my life, I was free. No more calls from Tyler asking for money. No more guilt from my mother. No more pressure to be the bigger person. No more marriage built on lies. The silence hurt at first. Then it healed me. I started therapy. I started running in the mornings. I took on projects at work that I had been too drained to accept before. My boss noticed. 6 months later, I was promoted to regional operations manager. The raise was significant. The new job required travel, so I was rarely in Ohio. That helped. Every new city felt like proof that my life was bigger than the people who betrayed me. I spent time in Denver, Nashville, Phoenix, and Charlotte. I learned to eat dinner alone without feeling embarrassed. I learned to sit in hotel rooms without spiraling. I learned that loneliness and peace can look similar from the outside, but they feel completely different inside. Loneliness begs for anyone to return. Peace only opens the door for people who deserve to enter. 2 years passed. I heard nothing from my family. Not directly. Mutual acquaintances occasionally tried to give me updates. Did you know Tyler and Emily got married? I said, no, and I don't need to. Your mom looks sad lately. That's unfortunate. Your dad had a minor health scare. I hope he recovered. People thought I was cold. They did not understand that boundaries sound cold to people who benefited from you having none. 3 years after the divorce, I moved to North Carolina for work. I bought a modest house near Raleigh. Nothing extravagant. Just a quiet place with trees behind it and enough space for a home office. I adopted a rescue dog named Cooper. Cooper was part lab, part mystery, and entirely convinced every delivery driver was a criminal. He gave me routine. He forced me outside. He was loyal in the simple, honest way animals are. Around that time, I met Sarah. She was a civil engineer who worked with one of our subcontractors. Smart, calm, direct. The opposite of Emily in almost every way. Sarah did not perform charm. She did not need to be the center of attention. She listened carefully and spoke honestly. On our 3rd date, I told her the short version of my family history. She did not say, but, they're still your family. She did not say, you should forgive them. She said, that must have been incredibly painful. I'm sorry they did that to you. I almost cried right there in the restaurant. Not because the words were dramatic, but because they were sane. Sometimes healing is not someone fixing you. Sometimes, it is someone finally reacting appropriately to what happened. Sarah and I took things slowly. I had no interest in rushing into another marriage. She understood. We dated for 2 years before moving in together. A year after that, I proposed on a hiking trail in Asheville. She said yes before I finished asking. We had a small wedding. No big speeches. No fake family unity. Just friends, coworkers, and the few people who had shown up for me without needing anything in return. I did not invite my parents. I did not invite Tyler. I did not invite Emily. I thought that chapter was closed forever. Then, 5 years after I cut them off, my past found a way to knock. It started with an email. The subject line was, "Please read this." It was from my father. I almost deleted it. But something made me open it. "Daniel, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. Your mother and I have made many mistakes. Tyler is in serious trouble. Emily left him 6 months ago. He lost the house and has been drinking heavily. We are worried about him. He needs his brother. Please call me. Dad." I stared at the screen for a long time. Not because I felt tempted, because I felt nothing. There had been a time when those words would have dragged me across state lines. Tyler is in trouble. He needs his brother. That was the family emergency button they used to press whenever they wanted me to sacrifice myself. But that button no longer worked. I closed the email. I did not respond. 2 days later, my mother emailed. Her message was longer. She said she missed me. She said the family had suffered enough. She said Tyler had made mistakes but was still my brother. She said Emily had manipulated everyone. She said they now understood that I had been hurt. Now, after 5 years, after Emily left Tyler, after the golden child became too heavy for them to carry alone, that was when they understood. I showed Sarah the emails. She read them quietly. Then placed the phone on the table. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "Nothing." "Then do nothing." I loved her for that. But my parents did not stop. They mailed letters to my office. They found my new phone number through an old colleague. My mother left a voicemail crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Daniel, please. We're getting older. We can't do this without you." That sentence made me laugh bitterly. "We can't do this without you." Not, "We're sorry." Not, "We betrayed you." Not, "You deserved better." Still, even after everything, their pain was centered on what they needed from me. Eventually, Tyler called from an unknown number. I answered because I was expecting a contractor. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then he said, "Danny." No one had called me Danny in years. My stomach tightened. "What do you want?" He sounded rough, older, smaller. I messed up. I looked out the window at Cooper, sleeping in the sun. "Yes," I said. "You did. Emily left. I heard. She took everything." I almost said, "That sounds familiar." But I stayed silent. "She cheated on me," Tyler said. There it was. The universe has a dark sense of humor. Emily had cheated on Tyler with a man from her company. According to Tyler, she had been seeing him for almost a year before leaving. She drained their accounts, maxed out 2 credit cards in his name, and moved to Florida. He sounded shocked. As if she had not shown him exactly who she was when she betrayed me with him. "I don't know what to do," he said. I asked, "Why are you calling me?" "Because you're my brother." "No," I said. "I was your brother. You traded that away." He started crying. I had heard Tyler cry before. It used to activate something in me. Guilt, duty, protection. This time, it only made me tired. "I loved her," he said. "So did I. She lied to me. She lied to me first." "I know." "No," I said. "You don't know. You helped her lie. You enjoyed it. You stood in my house, drank my beer, borrowed my tools, smiled at me, and slept with my wife." He sobbed harder. "I'm sorry." The words came 5 years late. And they came only after the same knife cut him. I said, "I hope you get help, but it won't be from me. Danny, please. Don't call me again." I hung up. That night, I did not sleep well, not because I regretted my decision. Because grief is strange. Even when you know someone is bad for you, there is still a ghost of who you wish they had been. I grieved the brother I thought I had. I grieved the parents I needed but never got. I grieved the version of myself who had believed loyalty would eventually be returned. A week later, my parents showed up at my house. I still do not know how they found my address. Sarah was at work. I was home because I had taken the afternoon off for a dentist appointment. Cooper started barking before I heard the doorbell. When I opened the door, my mother looked older than I remembered. My father stood behind her. Thinner. His face lined with exhaustion. For a brief moment, I saw my childhood. Birthday cakes. Christmas mornings. My mother fixing my collar before school. My father teaching me to change a tire. Then I saw Emily's boxes in Tyler's truck. And the softness vanished. "What are you doing here?" I asked. My mother began crying immediately. "Daniel." "No," I said. "You don't get to show up at my home uninvited." My father raised his hands. "We just want to talk. You can talk from there." They stood on the porch like strangers. My mother said, "We made mistakes." I waited. She looked at my father, then back at me. "We should have handled things differently." That phrase. Handled things differently. Not, "We helped your brother betray you." Not, "We lied." Not, "We chose him." I said, "Try again." My mother blinked. "What?" "If you came all this way to apologize, then say what you did." She started trembling. "Daniel, please don't make this harder." I laughed once. "You drove 7 hours to my house and still want me to make it easier for you?" My father finally spoke. "We were wrong." "How?" He He swallowed. We should not have supported Tyler and Emily. And? My mother wiped her face. And we should have thought about your feelings. My feelings? I repeated. As if they had forgotten my birthday. Not helped destroy my marriage. I stepped onto the porch and closed the door behind me. You want to know what you did? You watched my wife cheat with my brother. You invited me to dinner and smiled at me while you knew. You helped her pack her things. You wrote statements against me during the divorce. You called me cruel when I finally walked away. Then you spent 5 years pretending I didn't exist until Tyler became a problem you couldn't manage. My mother covered her mouth. My father looked down. I continued. You didn't come here because you love me. You came because the son you chose is drowning, and you need the son you sacrificed to rescue him. My father whispered, that's not fair. No, I said. What happened to me wasn't fair. This is just consequences. My mother reached for me. I stepped back. That small movement broke her more than anything I said. Please, she said. I miss my son. I looked at her. You had a son. You chose not to protect him. She cried harder. Can we ever fix this? I thought about it. Really thought about it. There was a time when I wanted that. I wanted them to understand. I wanted them to apologize so deeply and honestly that the pain could finally rest. But standing there, looking at them, I realized something important. Forgiveness and access are not the same thing. I could let go of the anger without letting them back into my life. I could stop bleeding without handing the knife back. So I said, I hope one day you understand what you did. I hope Tyler gets help. I hope you all find peace. But you are not part of my life anymore. My mother shook her head. Daniel, don't do this. I already did. 5 years ago. My father's voice cracked. We're your parents. And I was your son. No one spoke after that. Finally, my father took my mother's arm and led her back to the car. I watched them drive away. When Sarah came home, I was sitting on the porch with Cooper beside me. She sat next to me and took my hand. Are you okay? I looked at the trees across the street. Yes, I said. And I meant it. A month later, I received one final letter from my mother. This one was different. There were no demands. No guilt. No excuses. She wrote that she had started counseling. She admitted that she had favored Tyler because he was fragile and that she had expected me to be strong enough to survive anything. She wrote that she had confused my silence with invincibility. She apologized for helping Emily leave, for writing the statement, for calling Tyler and Emily's affair love instead of betrayal. For the first time, she named it correctly. Betrayal. At the end, she wrote, I know this apology does not earn me a place in your life. I just needed to say the truth, without asking you for anything. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. I did not respond. Some people might judge me for that. They might say, life is short. They might say family is family. They might say everyone deserves a second chance. But people who say that usually have not been asked to set themselves on fire to keep everyone else warm. Here is what I learned. Family is not a title. Family is behavior. A brother does not sleep with your wife. Parents do not help one child destroy another and then ask for unity. A wife does not call betrayal love just because it feels exciting. And a man does not have to keep bleeding just because the people holding the knife share his last name. I built a good life after them. Not a perfect life, a good one. Sarah and I have a daughter now. Her name is Lily. She has my serious eyes and Sarah's fearless smile. When I hold her, I understand something my parents never did. Being loved by your child is not permission to use them. It is a responsibility to protect them. I do not know what happened to Emily. Last I heard, she was living somewhere in Tampa, engaged to the man she left Tyler for. Maybe she changed. Maybe she did not. Either way, she is no longer part of my story. Tyler went through rehab. My cousin told me that. I hope he stays sober. I hope he becomes someone better. I hope he learns that wanting what someone else has will never fill the hole inside him. But I will not be there to clap for his recovery. My parents still send a birthday card every year. No return address. Just my name, a short message, and my mother's handwriting. I read them, then I throw them away. Not out of hatred, out of peace, because cutting them off was not revenge. It was survival. And sometimes the strongest thing you will ever do is stop explaining your pain to people who only understand it when it finally happens to them.